This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking with comedian and actor Dan Frigolette. Adult Site Broker is proud to announce the launch of our new website, Adult Site Broker 3.0, at adultsitebroker.com. The look and feel of the new site is nice and up to date and easier to navigate. The new site also has links to our affiliate program, ASB Cash, and our new blog. Speaking of ASB Cash, we've doubled our affiliate payouts. That's right. Now when you refer sellers or buyers to us at Adult Site Broker, you're going to receive 20% of our broker commission on any and all sales that result from that referral for life. You can either place a link to us on your site or refer buyers and sellers through an email introduction. ASB Cash is the first affiliate program for an adult website brokerage. Check out asbcash.com for more details and to sign up. Now let's feature our property of the week that's for sale at Adult Site Broker. We're proud to offer for sale a profitable industry-recognized dating network with a unique channel for genuine female adult dating traffic. The company was launched in 2010 and has won multiple awards. They've generated nearly 200,000 profiles of real women and continue to add about 5,500 new women each month. These women have created sexy profiles and uploaded photos to attract men, and most have supplied a government ID. These profiles can be imported into any dating or cam network. The network's traffic is 91% direct and 8% organic. They've never marketed to their lists outside their own network, so this is a huge opportunity for anyone interested in marketing similar dating offers or other adult content. Their main developer is available to stay on as a contractor. Only $372,000 US. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is comedian and actor Dan Frigolette. Dan, thanks for being with us today on Adult Site Broker Talk.
Hey, what's going on, man? Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, we started, and Zencastr, my recording platform, had a little bit of a glitch, so we're starting over.
I feel like it was me. I always feel like I'm the glitch.
No, it wasn't you. It was me.
Did you see the movie Lock on Disney yet?
No.
Character on there. The premise of the whole thing is that there's good luck and bad luck. There's a character on there that's like has only bad luck. Right now, that's me. So I think everything that goes wrong right now between what's going on is me. It's my fault completely, 100%.
Okay, I'll blame you.
Take full responsibility.
Okay, it's all your fault. So let's tell everyone about you. Now, Dan's a stand-up comic and actor who's been seen on the Bob and Tom Show, HBO's Boardwalk Empire, Show Me a Hero, Younger, Sexy Beasts, or Younger Sexy Beasts. No, those are two different things. The Following, The Wendy Williams Show, and The Artie Lange Show. He's the executive producer of the Apartmentship. Dan has played numerous venues and comedy festivals around the country. He got his start in Syracuse, New York, and now he's a New York City circuit regular. Dan finds joy in traveling the country to small towns to entertain people. He travels the country with his pit Mation, Tess, raising money for various animal charities and rubbing people's bellies. His first comedy album, Naked and Amused, Comedy at a Nudist Colony, came out in late 2017. Dan also has quite a footprint in adult. He hosted the Inked Awards in 2019, and he hosts the Sexy People podcast, formerly Porn Stars Are People. On the podcast, Dan hosts sex-positive icons in order to destigmatize and normalize sexuality, gender, and feeling comfortable with the human body. Adult film stars talk relationships, politics, art, animals, friends, family, travel, and have a lot of fun doing it, all without talking a lot about porn. The Sexy People podcast hopes to humanize comedians, adult stars, and listeners alike to see that life is not just about labels, judgments, and critiques. So, Dan, first off, let's talk about the podcast. Why did you originally start doing it?
I'm so excited. That intro is incredible, and hearing it twice is incredible. Each time you do my intro, I like stand in the corner like I just scored a touchdown with 2 fingers in the air.
Yeah, well, if you want to take me on the road with you, I can do all your introductions, or you can just buy the tape.
Yeah. I, I, yeah, and then just play it. No, I want the live guy.
Okay. Yeah.
All the guys on like who's the guy who introduced Bob Barker and who's the guy who introduced Alex Trebek? Those
Yeah.
guys, those are big deal guys. I need
know.
that. I need one of those, and just in studio. And that's all you do. You just intro me, and then you can fuck off, and you made money.
I love it. Does it pay well?
It's got to pay well. That's the whole thing we're going for, is hopefully that I can make a career out of this thing.
Got it.
Sexy People Podcast. I don't know, man. You kind of nailed it. It was called Porn Stars Are People. I was having trouble with censorship and everywhere on the internet that wants porn to be a bad word. They want porn to be a bad word, right? And so I was running a show called Porn Stars Are People, and I was running a show called Porn Stars Are Comedians, a live event at the various sex fairs in the U.S. and porn conventions.
Right.
And I would get a flag on event calendars that said the word porn was profanity. And that blew my mind. And having porn, being near porn, going to AVN has always gotten me flagged on Instagram. So it's like the opposite of clickbait. It's like advertising kryptonite.
Right.
And so Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube have been flagging me nonstop. And so I succumbed and I changed the name to Sexy People Podcast. Same from podcast. But what's also crazy is in the amount of time that I've been doing the podcast, the phrase porn star has become null and void. So whereas when I started, there was people that would literally walk in the room and be like, you goddamn right, I'm a porn star. Now everybody's kind of like, no, I'm like, and we've like really taken on this sex worker title, and we've really taken on, like cam artist or like content creator. Right.
Yeah. And
that's more important than like saying porn star.
Right.
And so I have to change with the time. So I'm trying to do that.
Yeah. And there's so many attacks to the adult industry. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. Talk a bit about the adult entertainment industry. It's really rare to find someone outside the business spend so much time and effort promoting and normalizing it while also having a great understanding of what we do. How do you feel like you came to this point?
Well, I'm a dirty little slut, and I always wanted to like reconcile some of those feelings and those emotions, and even like now I'm in therapy. I'm realizing that like a lot of my sexual behavior might be compulsive or like a stress relief and all these sorts of things. So like even the like holistic, I don't know what better word I want, like the healthy aspects of sex and masturbation, or even things that are like looked down upon. And porn for me has always been sort of a masturbatory like add-on. So the starting point is I need to come, and the finishing point is I need some help and some aid. And porn's always been there for me. Porn always delivers, right? And so that's where it came in for me. And so the other thing that I found really interesting once I first initially had the idea to do this thing was I started listening to other podcasts that had porn stars on, and I realized the amount of disrespect that porn stars and sex workers were getting on podcasts. They're either brought on to be a one-trick pony, tell me about giant dicks, or they're literally like treated like their opinion doesn't matter unless we're talking about swallowing cock. And I hated that. And what I've learned from having the podcast is that, especially in today's day and age, the BTS and the like knowledge of the performer informs the fantasy that people are paying for. And so if the fantasy is about the actual person, right? If I actually like want Janice Griffith to be my girlfriend, in my head, knowing as much about her as possible is really important to me. And that's the thing I'm going to come about and for and to. And so there's a place where my podcast fills that gap a little bit, where like we get to learn interesting, weird facts. Like that Lexi Luna is a grammar Nazi. And I think that's really fun.
Do you anticipate that people are whacking off to your podcast?
This is a great question. So in my head, it's no, right? But then when I look at the data and find out how long people are listening, I found out that yes, because sometimes people are listening to an amount that doesn't make sense unless they just came. Right. So I think I think what happens, I think people find my podcast in a search for the person that they want to make them come aesthetically. And they listen to the podcast for a little bit and they either stay because they've enjoyed what they've heard or they go away. And so what I hoped to do was to get the guy who wanted to come to Natalie Night and retain them. I don't know if I've done that. And I don't know where the fan base comes from, but I hope it's that safe space where people are enjoying what they're hearing and they want to hear more and they want to find out about the other guests. But what I do find a little bit in the trolly YouTube comments is it's mostly somebody came to see Kimmy Kaboom and then they don't like that I'm even there. And those are hilarious listeners.
I love it. So the adult industry is under a massive attack by the religious right like we've never seen before in our history. They're going after the credit card companies. They're trying to shut off our sources of revenue. Give me your thoughts on that.
Makes sense. This all makes sense to me now. I didn't know it was happening like that. I would actually like some more background from you. But what I do know for sure is,
did you hear that MasterCard shut down Pornhub?
No.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, not too long ago. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. So I knew the thing that hit me the hardest was OnlyFans trying to pull their policy on explicit
adult
content. And then them backing off because they're like, oh shit. But I understood a piece that maybe some other people didn't understand, which is the reason why they were doing that was because they went to investors, and investors, just like the people who don't want my podcast to be called Porn Stars Are People.
Right.
They went to investors and the investors were like, I can't give you money. And they're like, why? This is a $5 billion industry. And they're like, yeah, but et cetera, whatever the et cetera is. And there's 1,000 et ceteras. And it's all based in the idea that, and it's a good understanding. There's a starting point is, well, the Bible says you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to. The longer our country exists, well, that's not true. Let's rephrase. Lately, we are more evangelical than ever. I never would have predicted that. I thought we were doing a good job. Even just being in this podcast, I thought we were doing a good job of moving away from like religious fanaticism.
Yeah.
But we're not. And the last administration really did a number on digging us deeper into ideas that I thought we all decided were silly.
Yeah. I think it would behoove you with your podcast as a forum.
I love when somebody drops behoove on me.
To explore that just a tad bit more. I know it's a little bit off topic, but there are organizations that are really going after adult and they're being successful and they're getting a lot of funding because of the religious right.
And I wish we as an organization, like a group of people, not an organization, but I wish we were stronger in binding together to become a superpower against that. The amount of money that this industry makes, we should figure out a way to combat this thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Free Speech Coalition that is the legislative arm, and they've had their successes. Okay, but when it's a wave of attacks, it's very, very difficult to stop. And right now, that's where the industry's at. I don't think it's ever been this bad.
Yeah, I mean, well, arguably, it was, like all the transition points, it was this bad. Hustler's transition point, this bad. Right. Playboy's transition point, this bad. Every time there's like a little bit of a change and a chunk of progress, somehow they find a way to try to scale us back. And obviously, at a period of time when my country wants to repeal Roe v. Wade, of course, anything that could be like sex-based, what's the big word? Prurient, obscene, any of these things, they want to be redefined.
Right.
It's also a horrible time. Apparently, it would be for comedy because it's the same. It's part of the same idea. It's this freedom of expression.
Yes,
is the thing that we're attacking.
Yes,
and.
Yeah, I'll talk. I actually do have some questions about that. Please. for you as well, because freedom of expression, the First Amendment, all of that is under major attack. and it all seems to be coming from the same place. So, well, no, not necessarily the same place. That's not.
Are you
That's not.
finding that in other countries? Are you finding that in places that you do business that's
Oh, it's
also a problem?
Oh, it's worldwide. No,
It
it's
is.
worldwide. Oh yeah.
How is the church? How is the church so organized? That's my question.
It's not just the church, unfortunately. It's not just the church. Why don't we jump into that, okay?
Yeah, please.
As you said, not only has adult been under attack, but comedy's been attacked a lot, especially by like the woke police, whether it's Chris
Yes.
Rock getting slapped for telling a joke or Dave Chappelle being attacked on stage, or even the president of the United States, such as he was, calling Bill Maher, calling him out. Comics are being assaulted both physically and in the media. How do you deal with this as a comic?
Well, that's not like this is what this is the best way to explain it. It's not uncommon for us. Like the idea that like you might get punched for a joke has always existed. Like there's all these great stories for comedians that are big now. Jim Gaffigan of just like he was on stage, somebody's doing a thing, they're heckling. He's 6'4". He's always been 220 pounds. He walked off stage and he started punching a guy. Like
Oh, no.
it's not like there's never really been a good bouncer culture to our thing. And at baseline, comedy is 8 people in a basement, right? So like that, you got to understand. It's like,
right.
You know, it's just like porn is like it's 2 people in a camera, which hilariously like that's one of the main selling points now. But like that's all you need, right? And so for comedy, you need a mic and a couple people, and that's dangerous. And so comedians, we've always had to like figure out how to like. And even as a child, it's one of the reasons I am a comedian. I had tumultuous relationships as a child. So like my whole like sense of being was, how do I make somebody laugh before they punch me?
Ooh.
Like, that's it. How do I make this person laugh so I don't get hit? And that's kind of like what it is. And that's why I thought it was crazy actually about the Chris Rock thing. And this is all I'll say about this, because everybody it's been exhausted. The
Big time.
ideas.
Yeah. I know nobody wants to hear about it, but
I don't understand
it exists.
how Chris Rock, while Will Smith is walking up to stage, wow, he's not just peppering him with more and more insults. Like if you're walking on stage and you're coming for me, and I know you're coming for me, maybe I don't think because it's the Oscars I'm going to get hit, but that's silly because a person's a person and hitting can happen no matter what's going on. So I'm going to pepper him until there's nothing left of that person by the time they get to the stage. Like
he did have a chance. He did have a chance.
He didn't say anything. He backed off, and it's like the damage was done, so he got hit. So he should have just should have kept going. Pop.
He's certainly capable.
Yeah, and just assault his character, man. This is somebody who's coming for you. This is coming for your profession, coming for your for the microphone more than anything else. This is what you value the most, is being able to speak, and they're coming for that. Maybe he just takes the mic, right? My favorite thing to do, and this is a good way to bridge the conversation, when I'm met with like aggression and male aggression, like as if a person in the audience is going to like run on stage and beat me up. I meet that aggression with their homophobia. So like I had a guy once, and he like got up and he was like, "Oh, you want to go outside?" and all this, because I'm like telling a joke about him. Maybe I'm doing a riff about what's going on, whatever. Maybe it's about him. And he said, "Want to go outside?" And then so I made it about he wants to go outside so we can make out. I was like, "Sir, if you want to make out, we can do it right here. We don't got to go outside and get all private." and that thing deaded his. Because now he doesn't know. So
it
had
to stop him in his tracks.
Right. And it got the laugh. And that's what it is. I'm here to survive. Yeah. And I built up a skill that has a real place in the world. And at baseline survival, how do I not get hit in the face? Make him think one of us is gay, and we don't know which one it is. What do people that want to punch dudes in the face hate the most?
Oh, yeah.
2 men kissing.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And by the way, you mentioned Roe v. Wade and porn. LGBTQ plus rights are all tied in as well. And gay marriage is now in danger.
We're going to pull gay marriage. We're going to pull all of this stuff.
It's going to make porn illegal. I mean, it's all rolled together. So we're worried when we hear about Roe v. Wade. It definitely impacts this industry.
Yeah.
And it impacts comedy, because what's next? What right is next. That's the question.
And it is.
What's the next thing they're going to take away?
It is. It's about freedom of speech. So a thing that a lot of people don't understand is that places without freedom of speech, stand-up comedy is illegal. So South Africa, for example, South Africa did not have freedom of speech until 1994, I believe. That means that stand-up comedy was literally illegal until 1994. That was so not that long ago. That was very close to now. Right. And that was a period of time, like, we thought that it was okay. Well, I guess we didn't think it was okay. We did everything we could to try to make apartheid stop. One of the main things that held up apartheid was not being able to say how you feel and not being able to date who you want and not being able to marry or fuck who you want. And it's all rolled together. And it is.
But America's supposed to be different. We have a constitution. We have the First Amendment.
We believe that.
All forms of it. Well, but all forms of expression, whether it be art, film, news media, comedy, or porn, they're supposed to be protected. But slowly we see these protections eroding. And the sad part is it's not just right or just left. It's both sides of the political aisle. On the left, you got the woke police. On the right, you got people telling them what they can do or what they can do with their bodies. So what's going on with the country, and how do you think we can turn this around?
I mean, I'm trying to get dual citizenship in Italy. I don't know that we're turning this thing around, man. I don't think that I didn't think we could go backwards on the bus and start ripping off things that we already accomplished. Yeah. But the fact that we didn't even and again, if you want to call it the woke police, that side has not been looking at things that we've accomplished as up on the platter for things that could get decommissioned or whatever good words are. And so we're looking at the wrong stuff. Yeah. And the right is going, no, everything that we always believed, we're going to keep to it. The things that we believed in 1855 and 1776 and 1492, we're just going to hold on to that stuff. Yeah. And we live a lie. America lives this lie that always has. People moved here for religious freedom, but it wasn't about religious freedom. It was, where can I start my mob of this other religion that we're not really supporting where we live? Yeah. How do we do what another country's already doing, but with a different set of ideals? And that's all we've done. Yeah. It's this thing about police brutality. We have a blind eye in the US to gun violence and police brutality. And so what happens is we want to talk about those two things, and then we either pretend like we don't know what the problem is, or we pretend like the solution is not obvious. And we love living that lie because we don't really want to make it.
And it's so obvious. It's so obvious. I hate to say it, and some of my gun-loving friends will hate me for this, but what Australia did is the best solution.
Done. Get rid of them.
There have to be laws getting weapons of war off the streets.
Get rid of them.
They have no place there.
You know what? And the thing that tries to hold up a lot of people is this idea that a well-equipped militia could handle an army. And it's like, you're not doing it, man. No amount of guns are going to stop drones from ending your house. There's no matter what thing you can buy, the government's got something bigger. No matter what. It's that idea. It's like, no matter how big a guy is, there's always a bigger guy. Like this idea.
Police departments have more tools now that they've gotten from the Defense Department than you could ever have.
Right. It dawned on me recently that police have never been here for the citizens. Police are the military of local government. And that's it. Mm-hmm. And until we understand that, luckily, for most of my life, I haven't had to be in many situations where I had to call the cops. But when I was 20, I had to be in a situation where I had to call the cops thinking that, the police are here to protect me. And what I found immediately was they're here to intensify the situation that exists and or put me in a situation as a citizen where I no longer have rights to protect myself. That's it. There's no call the cops because they're going to help the citizen. It's take a citizen off the streets or say that it isn't their responsibility. Those are the only two options. And I find that horrible. I think there's a joke here, but I can't figure out the idea that if you watch, if you don't believe that police brutality exists, just watch any episode of Cops.
Oh yeah.
every episode of Cops is like the cops, like, so the last one I watched was a guy got caught in the fence running from the cops, and then they made fun of him for 20 minutes without helping him. I'm not confident that like his leg is like permanently injured because he got his leg caught in the fence, and they told him he shouldn't have ran rather than helped him.
Nice.
And that's low-key police brutality. And
they're supposed to give medical aid if someone's injured.
Right.
And I've seen tape of people dying while they were supposed to give medical aid.
Knock a guy down and then yell at him for making you push him down. It's high-key bullying and low-key police brutality, or vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that not all police play that way. I've seen instances where police have assisted, and I also have friends who have been police. Some of the most prejudiced people that I know, that I'll tell you, and they're all far right wing, but at the same time, I do think there are some dedicated people in the police force.
And I appreciate the political thing, and I'll remove that and I'm not saying I'm against Cops. I'm saying if you watch the show Cops, I didn't name it. If you watch the show Cops, every episode is some form of bullying.
I'm sure being on the road, you've seen your share of episodes.
And this is no political. I'm not putting any political anything on it. I'm just telling you, if you watch the show, it is very clearly. If you had to explain to a child what bullying is, you would just throw on an episode of Cops, and maybe and I'm sure Cops are doing great things, but I don't know what they filmed. But the show is a pretty clear case of bullying.
Indeed, it's been a while, but the ones I've seen, I will agree with you. So let's go back to comedy for a second. Who are some of your role models in comedy, both past and present?
It's hard, man. It's really hard to say because it's like when you don't know what something is, right? I don't have a good example. So I've never figured out how to say what I want to say. But if you don't have a good example of the thing because you're brand new, like I've never done comedy. When you're a kid, you don't think George Carlin is fantastic. You don't understand comedy, right? Like, just like people that don't understand comedy, like they loved Dane Cook because it wasn't really proficient comedy. It was fun and entertaining. And it's like, it's like the pad thai. Oh, it's a perfect example. It's like the pad thai of comedy. Dane Cook, everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. And it's not difficult. It's not culinarily challenging, right? And so you start off loving pad thai, and eventually you move on to red curry and pad see ew, and it's just the whole thing. You do
need to come to Thailand if for no other reason to eat the real stuff.
Yes, and that's my point. That's why it's a good example. It's like brisket too. Brisket for
and
people that don't like brisket.
The food too, by the way.
Yes. Well, listen, I'm on my way, so make room on your couch. So,
hey man, absolutely.
But the thing is,
we'd love to hang out.
When you don't have any information to inform you, you think that bad things are good. So I started liking bad comedy, and I'm embarrassed by who I liked. But who I like now are good comedians.
Okay, so who impresses you? Who impresses you today?
Nate Bargatze, Tim Dillon, Bill Burr. Some of these are, it's an obvious choice, but Drew Michael. These are all people that are challenging the art form. Tim Dillon has figured out how to have the right and the left like him for different reasons, and I think that's brilliant, especially right now, because right now you have to pick a side, and that's what people are doing. Yeah. You don't already have an established fan base. Now that we're so far apart on the left and right thing, you have to pick a side and then just try to eat whatever's left, And Tim Dillon has figured out that the right doesn't understand what he's doing, so they take him literally. And the left understands what he's doing, and so they take him as satire. And maybe he's neither, but both like him, and they both like him for different reasons, and that's brilliant. So the left thinks that he's like saying things that he means the opposite, and the right thinks he means it because he means it.
I've heard some really good political comedy over the years, and I watch Bill Maher every week, and I think he's still brilliant, although he does rub me the wrong way about a lot of things, especially some of his views on COVID and down talking people who are overweight like myself.
I also don't think he's pro sex work.
No, he isn't. No, he is not.
I think he's kind of a slut shamer.
Yeah, he is. John Oliver is a lot more open. In fact, he did an episode. I don't know if you saw the episode that John Oliver did on sex work, and it was brilliant.
No,
Well,
no, I'd love to see that.
his show was brilliant, though. I mean,
Hassan
everything.
Minaj, before he got canceled, had a really good show that hit the other side of a lot of things that I never understood. He did such a good job. I don't know if he touched it in there, but anybody who's doing stuff about sex work, I'm for that. And this is a good question. Who's the most sex positive late night show host?
Either Colbert or Trevor Noah, probably.
Interesting.
But those are the two that I've probably watched the most.
Yeah.
And I haven't been watching late night comedy, just like I haven't been watching news, because ever since January 6th, I've really been avoiding US politics. I'm just so disgusted by everything.
Yeah. You know who you'll love?
I scan the New York Times, I watch Maher and I watch Oliver, and I get little bits and pieces there. But other than that, I've just kind of put my head in the sand because it's so disgusting.
It's fair. Who you know who I think you'll love?
Mm.
Because they add a little lightness to the problem, is The Good Liars. It's a guy I went to college with, and he got a partner, and they're 3 movies deep, and they're on various platforms and various levels of actually being invested in, but so they're under the radar a little bit. But they basically go to these rallies and they troll the people, and so they'll go to the January 6th reunion, and they'll be like, "What are you guys talking about?" And these people will be like, "Oh, we're celebrating January 6th," and they go, "Oh, were you there?" And then they go, "No, that was Antifa dressed as us." And we're like, what? And they do such a good job of walking the line of being like, I'm interviewing you, but also exposing that you're absurd.
I'm trying to think of the guy who used to be on The Daily Show, but he's got his own show on Comedy Central now, and he does that stuff all the time. That's pretty much his shtick, is to go to Trump rallies.
Does he have his own show?
Yeah, he did.
There's a guy who's really good at that. White guy, weird hair.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had his own show.
I don't know if he has weird hair. He's pretty normal hair. But anyway, this guy used to be on the Daily. He used to be on the Daily Show, and he's got his own bit, and that's pretty much his shtick, is going to Trump rallies and asking questions and going, "Oh yeah, I agree. Oh, definitely." And then he'll say something, and the person, who's obviously a complete and utter moron, will look at him.
Yeah,
and he doesn't know if he's being insulted or what, and he's definitely being insulted.
Right.
So I wish I could think of his name, but I can't think of it right now. And he's
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm trying to figure. I'm on the website.
And he was one of Trevor Noah's lieutenants who did a lot of that stuff, and then he had his own gig. So
I didn't know he had his own show.
So you went from comedy to acting, or acting to comedy?
Really, what happened was not a lot of money in comedy. So you go, what else can I do? And, to be a good comedian, you got to be able to do a myriad of things. And one of those things, obviously, is that you got to be able to sell what your jokes are. So I had an opportunity to do, honestly, most of the stuff you read off is like stuff that I did as a comedian, or some level of Klepper. That's his name. Jordan Klepper.
Jordan Klepper. Yeah.
I didn't know he had his own show. That's fantastic.
He is good.
Yeah. Same vibe, except he comes at it like that's a perfect example of what we talked about before. It's like, he's not afraid of violence. He's going to say what he means, and it's funny. And it seems like he should be getting punched in the face more. And I do think he has weird hair.
Absolutely.
But as a comedian, I realized that, and I wish I came in this business with a better business sense, but it's like the amount of people that want to go to comedy clubs and the amount of people that want to see comedy is very limited. Whereas I think look at the numbers. I think it's like 6.4 million or something. I just put it in a business plan. And the people that want to watch movies is way more. So you're like, okay, I guess I should do that. That seems more important. But most of the shows I was on, I was trying to either be a comedian, be funny, or get noticed for being a comedian, so that the fame that I would get elsewhere would then put me in a position to do more comedy. That's really what it is.
Sure.
So that's really what it comes down to.
What attributes that you have as a comic? Sorry?
17 million. I just looked it up on my business. 17 million people visit comedy clubs a year. That's it. Out of what do we have? 380 million in the US? 17 million.
I used to go all the time when I lived there.
And
So,
it really is a small sect of people. And it's like,
well,
the people who want to go to comedy clubs, go to comedy clubs.
Yeah, I got a lot of free tickets because I worked in radio.
Yeah, they're trying to keep you. Yeah, they're trying to bring you there. But
also because I worked in radio, so even the ones that wouldn't normally be free, I always got free tickets. Sure. I don't think I've ever paid to go to a comedy club.
Hilarious.
Yeah, no, I don't think I ever have.
I was in and I've never paid for my porn. Okay, I'm just kidding.
I was in radio 21 years, so
yeah.
So what attributes that you have as a comic help you as an actor?
We love to hang on to this thing. We go. Bill Burr says it on interviews. We've said it about Robin Williams. We love this idea as comedians that like you can't teach comedy, and so being funny is like more important. So it's like, but at the same time, like you can obviously write something funny and the actor can deliver it because they're an empty vessel, right? So they can just be funny for that moment. But you can't teach comedy, but you can teach somebody how to act or be like dramatic. So we hang on to this idea, whether it's true or not. And so the idea that like a comedian makes a better dramatic actor long-term might be true, you know, and as a comedian, what you do need to do is you need to have empathy. You need to understand how to dive into like a character, maybe in your story, and you have to figure out point of view, and you have to figure out how, a myriad of people feel in a particular situation. So we're more in touch with our feelings. We're more in touch with we're people watchers, right? Comedians a lot of times are good impersonators. So there is an element of like, how do I understand humans more, which is a good thing. I think good actors can do that too, right? You have to understand how somebody would react or be in a situation. And for comedians, it's kind of like, it's like our obsession. It's our unconscious obsession.
Makes sense. You mentioned Robin Williams. Robin, Billy Crystal, some of the other greats. Do any of those have an impact on your style?
Sure. So my style, honestly, was like a combination of like Wendy Liebman and then probably Bill Cosby. And Bill Cosby's a great, but it's hard because now you're like, all my idols from the 80s have a court case now, And so you're in this spot where you're like, cool,
when you say Bill Cosby, now it's not like when you said Bill Cosby 15 years ago.
Right. And it's a really bad word and it's tough. And then it's a question you have inside yourself. You're like, how come everybody I liked as a child was a pervert? What does that say about me? And for me, maybe that informs why I have the podcast, right? My idols literally Pee Wee Herman, Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby. So it's like, what's going on with me? So I always liked that Bill Cosby didn't laugh at his own jokes. So when I started doing comedy, I was doing that. And then the more I do comedy, like I said, like I'm not eating pad thai anymore. I watch a comedian laugh at his own jokes and find that is a useful mechanism for comedy. And and then Wendy Liebman was big with like wordplay, and all of the female comedians that came after, honestly, she was one of the best who never kind of made it, and everybody kind of ripped off her. I'm not going to say names.
I know her name. I can't say I've seen her act.
Right. Because and then somewhere in the middle of when she was getting big, she stopped and had a family, and that's admirable and that's great and that's all the things, but for whatever judgment you want to say, it hurt her career.
Sure.
By taking a break. You can't take a break from the thing you're great at. You can't go play baseball when you're the greatest basketball player of all time. You can't do it. You have to stay in your lane and win championships. And so my favorite comedian.
Michael won another title though.
My favorite comedian quit comedy for a little while, and she did it for he was only gone for like 18 months. She was gone for like 10 years, maybe 18 years. I don't know.
That's a long time. That's a really, really long time. One of my favorite comics was Sam Kinison.
Well, and that's a good example. I don't know where I know I got cut off here. I don't know where I got cut off, so I'm going to reiterate my point. Sam Kinison, Belushi, Hartman. What does it say about my industry that so many of our greats like died in tragic, horrible ways? You're talking murder, suicide, drug overdoses, crazy, awful things. What does it say about my industry? Like people that like play baseball are not dying of murder, suicide, and like fentanyl overdoses. You know what I mean? Or just regular old school heroin overdoses. I am working in an industry that is driving people to do extraordinary things. And that's what we live amongst is those types of people and those types of environments. So that's that's the industry. So Sam Kinnison's like kind of not necessarily before my time, but more like he was before everyone's time because he was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He was 5 minutes. Mitch Hedberg was 5 minutes, right? That's all they
Mhm.
had. They were misunderstood geniuses.
Yeah.
And
Lenny
they
Bruce.
like Lenny Bruce. And well, Lenny Bruce is, I put Lenny Bruce at the threshold of like Playboy, hustler, all those things. He was the first person challenging
Right. The
our
norms, yeah.
way of understanding and obscenity. We took it to the Supreme Court. We know those things. Honestly, and I hate to say this, but like a good portion of Lenny Bruce's career, he wasn't funny. He was just reading police reports because he was pissed off,
Mhm.
And even Carlin, understood as one of the geniuses. If you look at his sets, like beat for beat, laugh for laugh, he's not getting laughs. He's more doing lists and saying rhyming couplets and all these things so he can chunk through heavy material to get to his point. And it's
Right.
like, we got to have these bigger discussions. What's more important is like changing the game or just getting a lot of laughs,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And it's like Jeff Dunham gets cheap laughs and he goes and he cashes the checks. Larry the Cable Guy cashes checks, man. He makes the most money. And it's like, should we be mad at that? I don't know.
No, it's kind of like he's kind of like the Kenny G of comedy. I really like jazz,
So funny.
but Kenny G holds notes, and I have a lot of friends in the jazz business, and I think a lot of them are really resentful of Kenny G,
Yeah,
because he makes so much money, and he's not as talented as they are.
Well,
But
that's
he's
the
got a
art.
shtick.
That's the artist struggle, man. Do you get categorized and just be the thing and then you just collect checks? Or
Yeah.
do you change the game and do you evolve?
Yeah.
So it's that, and that's the artist struggle. Do you want to make money or do you want to have integrity? And that's it. That's the crossroads. You can't do anything else. And it's like brisket. It's just like brisket. And I like using this a lot because I love barbecue. And good brisket has a lot of fat on it. But
Right.
most people don't want to eat the fat because they don't understand what fat is or how it works metabolically. And there's a bad word around fat. So you have to make your brisket be shitty if you want to sell a lot of it. So do you want to make brisket for 13 hours and sell it to 2 people? Or do you want to sell the fuck out of brisket? And the answer is you want to sell the fuck out of brisket. So
Yeah.
you hold notes or whatever the Kenny G jazz thing is that he's doing wrong.
That makes total sense. So finally, I noticed in your bio that you're a dog lover like myself.
Yeah.
We have
Dog
6, by
slut.
the way.
No, what? How does that work?
It doesn't. It's amazing we've kept them quiet for this long. Muzzles come in handy. There's so many homeless dogs here, and we've adopted so many from.
And you have enough places to put them.
Kind of.
What's your dog? You're like, yeah. They're like, I got a California King, so I can sleep with my 19 dogs.
I leave that to the wife. Anyway, so you're quite involved in animal charities. Talk a little bit about animal rights and the plight of animals in the world.
Tough, man. It's like it's taken a hit because in-person stuff took a hit, and then after that, it's like I don't like the big place that I was involved in. They became the one of the big things was they were doing a vet clinic. So it's in person. You show up and you get low price shots. You can get spay and neutering for cheap to no money. And also a lot of those things got kind of pulled away because it's like, we barely care about people right now. So then like governmentally, we don't care about animals.
Unfortunately,
it's like, so that's where we're at. It's like animals are the first thing to kind of get pulled away from. And that's really frustrating. And I'm a single dog dad. I have, and by that, I mean, I'm single and I have a dog, but also I only have one dog, which it's kind of like Cosby used to say it about parents. It's like, if you only have one kid, you're not really a parent. If you have one kid in the house and something's broken, you know who broke it. And that like takes like all of the struggle out of parenting. And so I've only ever had one dog and she's obsessed with me and I'm obsessed with her.
That's sweet.
So I don't really know what it would be like to have 6 dogs. I don't know if I would be a good,
I don't know that you want to.
I don't know if I'd be a good animal parent to 6 dogs. I don't know if I have, the bandwidth, and I hate to say that.
It's a lot of work. Like I said, the wife helps a lot.
Yeah. But I do want to farm. I want all the things I want, all the animals. So I think there's a part of me that can do it. I actually do think, other than the things I've said, I think we're at a good place in animal welfare because we don't live in a society anymore over here in the US that puts dogs outside and just expects them to like fend for themselves. And that's a small win or a big win, but it's a win. It used to be this idea: you just put your dog outside, and if they freeze to death, you go, "Screw it, it's a dog." What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Here, it's a little bit different. Sadly, we do have to have our two puppies outside because otherwise, one of our dogs will kill them.
Holy crap!
But the weather's
Yeah.
really pretty good out here, and they have ways of staying cool, so it's good.
Well, let me tell you what's happened here as a byproduct of this thing is that dogs, because they have no tasks anymore, dogs used to be things like, we created dogs to be obedient creatures. Whether you like people will get offended by this, but like, that's what they are. These are not my words. It's like I shoot a duck, you go get the duck, you bring it back to me. That's what we made them for. That's what we bred them to do, right? And so we don't have that anymore over here. So what we have is you go in my purse and you watch me fuck and you hope that you're next. That's what we have. We've created that. That's the byproduct of what we've done. My dog thinks she's my wife, or she's next. She thinks she's gonna marry me. That's what she feels because we're doing something wrong. Yeah. I don't make her go get stuff out of, it's like I could teach her to like open the fridge and get me a beer, right? But I don't. We just hang out together and watch Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, we love our dogs. We love our dogs, and we treat them like our babies too. So I get it.
Dogs are confused. They don't know. They don't understand what they're supposed to do now. They're like, my entire genetic vibe is to be your obedient creature, and you're not asking me to do shit.
They're here to sleep, and they do it, and they do it extremely well.
So good.
Well, Dan, this has been a pleasure. I really want to thank you for being our guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk, and I hope we'll get a chance to do this again soon.
Yeah, and I hope we got this one too.
I hope so. My broker tip today is part 4 of what to do to make your site more valuable for when you decide to sell it later. Trademark your site. Having a trademark instantly protects your brand and makes your site more valuable when it comes time to sell it. Trademarking your site will cost an average of about $1,500, but should be worth more than the investment when it comes time to sell it. Show buyers ways you feel the site can make more money in the future. This includes showing them future plans you may have, traffic trends, as well as sales trends. If things are growing and you can show them how to grow it more, they're likely to be willing to pay more for the site. Do something unique with your site. If you have competitors, figure a way to do it better. Be different in some distinguishable way that makes you better. Your members will notice and spend more money with you. Make your site a place that people want to visit, not just to buy things or view porn. Be creative, not just one of many. Keep thinking outside the box and make positive changes to your site. Think like a buyer when planning or updating your site. Don't think like a tech. Think like the consumer. We'll talk about this subject more next week. And next week, we'll be speaking with performer Coraline Jewell. And that's it for this week's Adult Site Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Dan Frigolette. Talk to you again next week on Adult Site Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.